Hi, welcome to the November edition of CGov's The Parish Line. We cover the events, programs, and policies of the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury. On this month's program, we will hear about two members of our emergency preparedness team who traveled to New York to aid the recovery from Hurricane Sandy. We'll learn about a winter drive-by to aid the needy in Southwest Louisiana and check in on our parish-wide emergency warning systems. First, the parish has a successful program with the National Association of Counties to offer free prescription discount cards. Jessica Williamson tells us about a new card from NACO that offers dental discounts.
The Human Services Department visited multiple communities across the parish seeking input from the public regarding community services block grant funding. One of the concerns many citizens have is the rising cost of health and dental care. Through its membership in the National Association of Counties, the police jury launched the NACO Dental Discount Card program.
What this program does is that it provides discounts to individuals for dental services. For many, many years, the police jury had an in-house dental hygienist, basically where we provided services and people could come to our offices, and dentists from across the city would volunteer their time and their services. Of course, over time, that program has weaned, participation has weaned, and of course we've had a lot of competition from other programs, and now people are now eligible for different types of services like Medicaid, and that now covers those type of items.
There are no eligibility requirements. However, there is an annual fee to individuals and families that wish to receive the discounts.
There is a membership fee that's associated with the program. It's $59 for individuals and $69 for families. Through our CSBG program, our Community Services Block Grant, what we've done is that we've allocated a certain amount of money to help the first 25 individuals and families who meet the CSBG income eligibility guidelines to pay the membership fee for the first year.
The discount program is covered by healthcare providers throughout the United States, and every type of procedure is covered.
The discount programs includes all procedures, and there are specialty items like orthodontia, including child and adult orthodontia, implants, cosmetic whitening, any specialty item, including dentures or oral surgery. All procedures are included.
Family memberships cover any individual in the same household, regardless of relationship. The average family of 4 is estimated to save about $1,200 annually. The memberships can assist those that are already covered under a dental plan, as well as individuals that do not have coverage.
The average family per year can see about $1,200 in savings, a family of 4, just for general cleanings and x-rays and office visits and maybe a couple of fillings. There's always typically cavities involved, but what we found over time is that the average family will save about $1,200.
One of the things that we feel is that we're going to have similar success with this program that we did with the prescription drug program. And at one point, we had the 3rd highest rate in the nation for the prescription drug program, and so we feel that we're going to have similar success with this new dental discount program.
You can find a complete list of providers at www.nacodentalprogram.com. For the Parish Line, I'm Jessica Williamson.
There are currently 8 participating dentists in our area. 2 members of the Calcasieu Parish Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness aided residents of Long Island in their recovery efforts from Hurricane Sandy. Norman Bordeaux and Rob Dodrell were called to bring their expertise on hurricane response through a request from the state of New York to the Louisiana GOSEP office.
There's a process through EMAC, which is an Emergency Management Assistance Compact, that is set up amongst the states, and a state that is experiencing a disaster can make requests to all the other states saying we need personnel, we need equipment, and they're usually fairly specific on what they're needing. So that was the request that Rob and I agreed to take. The rest of the team that the state, the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness had put together was Kevin Davis, the Director of GOSEP, Chris Gilbo, the Deputy Director of Emergency Preparedness, and Dexter Cardo. He's the OEP Director for St. Tammany Parish.
Well, first when we initially got there, we kind of learned how their system worked. They operate on a totally different system than what we operate on. So we had to learn that. We learned their computer system and how requests are made for assets and things like that. And then we started getting in meeting with various different departments. Norm and I met with the social services people and talked to them about housing. Then a few of us went and talked with the finance department of the county and told them what to be looking for as far as FEMA and things like that. And they had a lot of concerns. I mean, they've got a very large budget compared to ours, and they were concerned that, hey, it's getting towards the end of the year and most of our monies have been allocated. How are we going to be able to meet some of these requirements for as far as cleanup and things like that? So a lot of recommendations were made to this. So really, in essence, we met a lot and met a lot of different people and things like that, just trying to give them a perspective of what they had. They had a lot of questions. How do you handle this, or how do you do this, and various things like that.
Emergency responders have a saying that every storm is different. Rob and Norman found that many aspects of Sandy were unique to the affected area, from terrain to population density to the late fall arrival of the storm, which created an extremely unfamiliar issue: snow.
One of the biggest things is, soon as Sandy came through, here we are a week later, we're heading up, and what are they having is a nor'easter. So typically we don't have to experience snow and cold weather after a hurricane. So that certainly added a real twist for them and complicated the whole situation.
Being down in the South, we're kind of used to hurricanes, and they were not. And a lot of them more or less said, it's just going to be another storm. And there was a lot of people that told us from the storm that they had last year, it's just going to be like that. And they were surprised that it was as bad as it was.
As people were trying to move forward, the amounts of sheetrock and flooring and carpeting and furniture and appliances was a real problem. Keeping in mind up there, basements are a very big thing. Just about everybody's home has a basement. And of course with that, and when you have floodwaters coming in, you just have now an indoor pool basically in their basement, along with their heating system, their furnace, water heaters, typically a fuel tank sitting in the basement also. And as they fill up, now they're all non-functioning, and being able to turn that around, especially with winter coming, to be able to provide heat in a short term is going to be a very difficult task.
We would drive down the roads, and certain neighborhoods would have power, certain neighborhoods would have street lights and traffic lights, but no power to the homes. So it just really depended. Now, there was a lot of damage along the coastal areas where the flooding came in, but you get up in the center of the part of the county and there was no damage. It was life as usual. And that was difficult, especially for the people that were without power, and why did they get it, why we didn't, and things like that.
The number one lesson learned on the trip is to continue to improve our own communication efforts in the wake of a storm. That was an issue that severely hampered Long Island residents.
What we're doing with our communications between the elected officials at the parish, all the municipalities, sheriff's office, all the public safety agencies throughout the parish, and our citizens is information, meetings, talking about issues. That's something that we have done for many years and need to ensure that we keep going in that direction.
We have learned over the years, with a lot of experience, that keeping the public informed is a happy public, and they didn't do that. They had one TV station that was on Long Island, and that was their local station. And they kept up a lot of the information, but a lot of the things that we were seeing were towards the power company, and they were not very positive.
In that area that we're at, there was many, many municipalities in Nassau County. There was over 70 of them. So you're looking at some that have maybe a few hundred people in one, a very small town or village, but there's all the mayors and your elected officials and everything else. And so their task was very difficult on getting uniform communication with so many different agencies and elected officials. We're fortunate here we don't have as many, but it's still a task that we need to make sure that we keep going at as much as we possibly can.
Their electric company, compared to ours, it was just night and day. They had a PR nightmare. They did not communicate with the public what was going on. and it hurt them severely. Matter of fact, when we left, we heard that the CEO of the company resigned because of that. And they'll probably never get back after this storm because of the ways that they did not pass the information on to the community. And I think that's one thing we do have learned and do real well here, is that we do daily briefings and let people know what's happening in the community, because this is their community, and they want to get back to normal. And that's what we told them. One day you will get back to normal.
Norman and Rob both agreed that the trip was a good learning experience, and they were grateful for the warm reception they received from the Long Island officials and residents. The police jury participated in Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week by having its first annual Winter Drive-By. J.P. Booth tells us more.
In an effort to help the homeless cope with the approaching colder weather, the police jury hosted its first Winter Drive-By, in which residents were asked to drop off new or gently used winter clothing.
Is covering all 5 of the Region 5 parishes. That's Allen, Beauregard, Calcasieu, Cameron, and Jefferson Davis. And therefore, we have 18 sites throughout those 5 parishes that are collected. We have them at dealerships, we have them at nonprofit agencies, we have them at banks. And we don't like to discuss who is our partners, because of the fact everybody is our partners, including you. Anyone who can help to get the word out, that's a partner. So far, it's going beautiful. I just unloaded my truck coming from Grand Lake, and thanks to those individuals out there who helped make that possible. You know, if I start calling names, I don't want to miss anyone's name again. But thanks to those individuals and agencies and people from here that came to Grand Lake to volunteer, it was grand. You helped me just take some of the things out of my car. So, you know, it's just not a few boxes or a few bags. It's a lot. And that's not including what's being left at the other sites throughout the 5 parishes.
This effort is part of a national campaign to bring focus and attention to the hungry and the homeless.
This week is Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week throughout the United States of America. And what we're focused on are those individuals who, for some cause, unemployment or mental disabilities, or for other various reasons, domestic violence or eviction notice, are homeless. They usually end up sleeping in shelters, and when they go to shelters, they don't have proper clothing. So we are focusing on the clothing part this week, trying to get coats, sweaters, scarves, gloves, anything that you think they might need.
After the clothing is collected and sorted by gender and size, a distribution center is established for individuals to come and pick up some much-needed winter clothing.
Wednesday is our distribution date. That's also have been publicized, that people can come by here and pick those items up. We're asking them, because we know that's a school day, for the parents to bring either their Medicaid list, show how many is on their food stamp vouchers, and we know everyone doesn't get food stamps. So we also ask them to bring their income tax forms, because everyone should be doing income tax, to show how many children, so we can make sure every child and every adult in that household that's homeless or low income will be serviced. Now, the clothes that are left over after this drive will be taken to Abraham's tent, because everyone knows people come there every day. So those clothes will be carried there and distributed as needed.
For the Parish Line, I'm J.P. Booth.
If you or someone you know could benefit from collected clothing, contact Lily Chambers at 721-3579. This is the Parish Line, a production of CGov. If you live in Southwest Louisiana, you are no stranger to disasters. Margaret Higgins takes a look at the Calcasieu Parish warning systems.
Calcasieu is a beautiful place to live, although with every parish, the potential of natural and man-made disasters can occur. Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness Director Dick Grimion tells us more.
Most people associate us with hurricanes, but what we do 365 days a year is monitor for any kind of chemical releases or any other types of emergencies that we may need to get involved in. We have I-10, which has thousands of hazardous materials shipped through the Lake Charles area, through Calcasieu Parish every day. The corridor between Houston and, say, New Orleans is a major chemical corridor, so we also have east-west railroads and north-south railroads that carry hazardous materials, as well as the Port of Lake Charles. Everything from gasoline and motor oil through chlorine, various types of acid, compressed gases of various sorts, LNG, hydrogen, nitrogen, all kinds of compressed gases. So just a variety of different materials that pass through, which don't pose a threat when they're properly transported, but if a vehicle happens to get into an accident, usually is how we get a release of those materials. If the vessel is compromised, and let me say they are very well made, particularly the rail cars, and so a compromise of the vessel is unusual, but with the volume of traffic that we have through our area, there's always that potential.
If the public needs to be notified, the activation of the multi-part warning system is implemented.
And that system consists of the outdoor warning siren system that people see and they hear every Monday when we test those sirens. There's a system of sirens around the Lake Charles, city of Lake Charles area, and they're also around the industrial area on the east and west side of the Calcasieu River, the industrial corridor there. In addition to that, we have a telephone ring down system where we can pick a geographic area, call your phone at your house and let you know what's going on. We have Calcashout, which is a lot of people are familiar with. It's a text messaging system that we use to contact you primarily on your cell phone, but we can, if we do have your cell phone with Calcashout, we can also deliver you a voice message. Now, let me stop right here and say it's very important for everyone to sign up with Calcashout, because on our basic phone list that we get for our telephone ring down system, we only get the so-called landline telephones. We don't get the database of cell phones. So if you want a voice message delivered to your cell phone as well as a text, you'll need to sign up for Calcashout and give us your cell phone number. In addition to those methods, we notify the National Weather Service. National Weather Service rebroadcast any information that we give them back out over their weather radios, which is a secondary purpose for having a weather radio. Of course, the primary purpose is to be on guard for severe weather, but we are able to deliver what we call civil emergency messages through the National Weather Service radio system. So it's a very good all-around warning system. In addition to that, we immediately notify the media. We have an excellent working relationship with the media. They're able to get the word out through their sources immediately, and we try to get the information about, is this going to be a danger to the public, out immediately. We may not always have all of the story right at the beginning of the incident. And then, of course, if it's a longer incident, we would involve the government channel as well, because we do have that capability now.
We currently use parts of the warning system like Calcashout to warn the public of weather events such as hurricanes, but this system can be used in other ways.
What we're considering now is expanding the use of the total warning system, including the sirens, to warn of weather events like a tornado, for example, primarily tornado. A new siren's being put in a location, and that municipality would like to use their siren for weather events. So it's caused us to look at the possibility of using our other warning system for weather events. So we're currently studying that. If you look at the basic elements of it, they're all the same. It's basically shelter in place. If you have a chemical emergency or a weather emergency, the basic idea is to get indoors where you'll be safer. So we think it might fit. We haven't completed the discussions on it, but it is something that we wanted to alert the public to that we may be doing sometime in the future.
Grimion says if you live in southwest Louisiana or southeast Texas, you need to be familiar with the steps for shelter in place.
Once you receive a warning, either from a outdoor warning siren that we talked about, or on your telephone at home, or your cell phone, or a text message or an email, the first step is to go inside, close all your windows and doors, because we'd like to keep whatever is outside from getting into your house. Turn off your air conditioner or your heater, whatever is going, because it's very important to not bring that air from outside into your house and then immediately go and turn on either your television or your radio so that you can get additional information about what's happening with the situation.
Grimion cautions the public that even though our severe weather in regards to hurricanes is just about over, we're moving into the time of year where tornadoes are more prevalent. For the Parish Line, I'm Margaret Higgins.
It's always a good idea to keep a checklist of emergency items up to date and have the weather radio, flashlights, and batteries on hand. An early warning system hasn't always been around. Molly Morgan has the story of how the system was developed.
The early warning system we have today was developed 28 years ago, but before 1984, the system didn't exist. The Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness Operations Manager Norman Bordeaux explains.
The notification systems and how the public is notified and the availability of information wasn't always the case. The incident that really caused all of this to occur, as many people may recall, there was an incident in Bhopal, India, back in 1984, where release of a chemical from a facility ended up negatively impacting quite a bit of the community surrounding the facility, where there was thousands of people immediately died because of the release. It was a terrible event, but it was that event that caused lawmakers, people who were concerned with the environment here in the United States, to start asking, well, could that happen here? And through some investigation from the federal government, it was determined that, well, yes, even that particular chemical that was present in a number of facilities here in the U.S. So through that information, Congress in 1986 enacted the Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act. And what that act did was start all of the process on which facilities had to report chemicals that they had in their inventory. They had to report them to state officials, to local officials, through a couple of agencies that were created from the state and local level. There was the State Emergency Response Commission, was a required creation underneath EPCRA, and there was also the local emergency planning committees that were created that were to be the recipients of this local information. So today, as you look across the river and you see the plants there, the chemicals that they have in inventory, how much and where they were located basically within the facility, has to be reported on an annual basis through the local emergency planning committee. This was the portion that allowed the openness so that your average citizen could go and find out what types of hazards exist in my community.
The way in which the public is notified has changed as technology has advanced.
Really, the only effective way to notify citizens was through the media. That was the only direct connection we had with them. And basically we had call lists. And there were certain individuals within the media that were called, and you had different media outlets, the radio stations, TV stations, and lists to help expedite that were given to employees, and they had a shorter list to call. That was the only real way to do that.
As we have emerging technologies through when we hit the cellular age, and now we can get instantaneous chat room type information, That's just really been the main key. We want the information faster, get it out faster so the public can take the appropriate action.
The reaction time for notification has decreased tremendously. For the Parish Line, I'm Molly Morgan.
That's the Parish Line for this month. Get more information on all of these stories or watch the Parish Line in its entirety on the web at cppj.net.